Good morning. I want you to ask yourself a question this morning. What am I made for? What do you hear? Ask that question over and over. What am I made for? Start to ask and listen. What am I made for? What is my desire? What am I made for? Just get real deep. Get real clear. Come up with an answer. Keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. What am I made for? What am I made for? And if you're getting distracted or think you've come up with the answer, you can keep going. There's a deeper, bigger answer. What am I made for? What's my purpose? What do I desire? What am I made for? What am I made for? Are you made to be frustrated? Are you made to be agitated? Are you made to be poor? What's the opposite of that? What's the ultimate opposite of that? The feeling you have right now, is that the feeling you want for the rest of forever? What were you made for? What do you desire? What's your desire? Let yourself have a dialogue with it. What do you need to focus on for you? If you ask, what am I made for? What's my desire? What's your new focus? What do you want to attract to you? What will you fall in love with? It's not pushing harder. It's not fighting. It's not stressing. It's literally, what will you fall in love with? Which version of you will you attract? Will you fall in love with? Become aware of your current feeling. It's been about 15 minutes, you working directly on you, not listening to someone else, listening to you. And if it's a struggle, that's a clue. You want to get better at talking to yourself, guiding yourself, asking yourself, is this how I choose to be in this moment? Becoming aware of what you are choosing, what you are aware of. What am I made for? What do I desire? What is my freedom? What is my discipline? Where does my discipline take me? Does your discipline take you to being happy or sad, in joy or anger? Nobody has any authority over you to make you feel sad or happy or confused. Those are responses we have to stimuli. What is the discipline you will use today to follow through on what you were made for? What desire is activated to keep you focused on the big picture? Become aware. What are you hearing from you? Who am I today? What am I made for? When is it time for the highest version of you to operate, to take center stage, to be ready to transform? When would you want that? The conscious version of you. The subconscious is where the distraction comes in, where the old programming runs. The conscious version of you could say, I want that now. What if from this moment, this exact moment, you decide to activate your true desire, to activate your highest discipline? Who do you become? You decide to be at your most peaceful. Doesn't mean you're doing nothing. It means you're doing everything that is of the highest value to you. If you decide to activate your desire, to operate at your highest version of you, could anybody affect you ever again? Could you be unaffected by frustration or delay? Because you'll be doing things in a certain way, and that changes everything. What do you need to become aware of to begin operating in your certain way that catapults you to the next level? Ask, what is my new certain way? What do you hear? What is my new certain way? YouTube, thanks for joining us this morning. We'll see you tomorrow.
Sound asleep and too afraid of what might show up while you're dreaming. Nobody sees you. Nobody will believe you. And every day you try to pick up all the pieces, all the memories that somehow never leave you. Nobody sees you. Nobody will believe you. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love.
All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well this morning. What did you take away from that? What did you hear? A lot of times when we spend quiet time with ourselves, we kind of get lost. We get distracted real easy. And that was kind of a little bit of an awareness. So what's your takeaway from that? Imagine doing that for 2 hours. That's when you're really starting to get awareness and access at a whole nother level. You talk to people who are wildly successful and you say, what's one of the key things that gives you your success that you worked on? I meditate about 2 hours a day. Most people say, I don't have time for that. That's a clue. It really is. So what's your takeaway from that? If anything, it may have been uncomfortable. It may have been distracting. It may have been awesome, perfectly what you needed. Thank goodness we have sticks on the farm.
Good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
Well, since no one else is speaking, I don't want you to leave already. How are you this morning?
Outstanding. It's me by myself and Mason.
Oh, that's right. So who is
So
going to be doing the cooking?
Well, Mason's a good cook.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, Mason will cook something. He'll make something up. We'll get to do some takeout, and we'll probably get some things like sushi. Michelle doesn't eat sushi, so we can get that.
There's sushi out all the way out there?
No, he'll probably get it down in Conway and bring it home.
I see. Yes, because you're
I mean, you can get sushi from Walmart, but it's Walmart sushi, so.
Ew, yeah, I wouldn't trust that. But we might not see you tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, wow, that's how long is she gonna be gone?
She'll be back Saturday night, so pandemonium and chaos will be the norm here.
She went to visit her sister. Where does she live?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, well, wow. Okay.
So she's putting her toes in the sand and sitting on the edge of the beach and not thinking about anything.
Well, I would stay there longer, but All right. So for me, yes, for me it's very difficult. I shouldn't say very difficult. I get distracted because I think there's something else I need to do and I should be doing instead of sitting with myself. Now, when I drive, I can do it. But I guess that's not the purpose of it, right?
Again,
you still concentrating on the road, at least you should. But I can more concentrate on on thinking.
Well, and so here's one of the things that you can do while you're meditating. You can literally just imagine, maybe your focus is just imagining your fingers touching. That's all you want to do, because your brain needs to have an attraction to something until it can release all of that.
Well, see, my brain is always attracted to my phone, so maybe I would need to move my phone in order to do that.
Yes. Yeah, that's an addiction, and it's not anything else. It's an addiction, and we get addicted to these patterns. And the patterns, the reason that we get addicted to them is because the brain has said it allows us to survive. And that's what the brain is designed for. Will this kill me, or how fast could I recognize a pattern? And if we have something that allows us to survive, the brain doesn't care whether it's positive or negative. It just says, this is our survival place. And when you get into your DMN, your default mode network, when you're not thinking, that's what your brain resorts back to. Why do I keep doing that default mode network? Why do I have that default mode network? It's because you're choosing not to become aware of the present moment, right? Joe Dispenza calls it the generous present moment. In this moment, what's available? Everything. What winds up in our life? What we wind up focusing on. If we don't look at the generous present moment, and we get drawn of all of the possibilities in all of the universe, and we get drawn to our phone, we get drawn to an old relationship, we get drawn to something somebody said 5 years ago or 5 minutes ago, we're missing out on this moment and this moment and this moment. And it really takes some focused effort. We're literally breaking paradigms in our own mind. And that's where the toughest work will always be. Everybody always says the hardest work I ever did was on myself. And so this is a process that begins. It's just sitting quietly. And part of it is sitting quietly and maybe taking notes, or turning your phone on auto record, turning it on airplane mode so it doesn't get interrupted, but just turning it. And what are the thoughts you have?
Well, my phone is always on silent unless I'm really expecting a call. So it doesn't, it's connected to my laptop, so it'll come through there, but
Right.
not this early in the morning, because I don't, most people don't
Sure.
get up this early in the morning to send text messages. Also, you never know. But yes, no, you're very right. I mean, I could certainly put it somewhere else, but
use it for a couple ones, and just sit there quietly and say it, and then just record your thoughts. Record what's coming in. You want to be quiet. You want to picture your ocean scene or your mountain view or whatever that image is, that dream spot that you have, and see all of the bubbles that float in. Oh my gosh, I just thought of my business. Oh my gosh, I just thought of this person. I just thought of that. And see how fast you get distracted, and see how fast you can get back to a clear screen of just your vision. But speak it, talk it, because you're having the conversation subconsciously. And subconsciously, we don't hear it. And we're so used to this. Well, it'd be like if you all of a sudden were dropped into a German restaurant. You could begin to understand all the conversations. You'd be like, what happened? Wait a minute, I was just in English land and now I'm in German land. Okay, I understand what's going on here. You have that ability to transition into that language. We become very good at speaking the language of lack in our own lives. That was so stupid. Language of lack. Why did I do that? Language of lack. Why does this always happen to me? Language of lack. And we get very good at speaking that, and we wind up abusing ourselves, limiting ourselves, and keeping ourselves in our comfort zone. That is a pain zone that we've become very consistent with. And when we start to shift out of that, the brain says, wait a minute, I don't know this place. It's literally your brain. I don't know this place. It's literally your body going, this is a new feeling, a new vibration, a new habit, a new frequency. I don't like it, because I got to pay attention to it. And if the brain has to pay attention to the feelings, it says, I can't pay attention to the outside world. It's a threat, which is why most people meditate in a silent, quiet place. so that brain can say, well, okay, there's really no threat here, which is also why it's extraordinarily important to do it in the same place as often as you can. I have spaces out on the ranch that I go in that are meditation spaces for me, just for me. And when I'm in that spot, my brain knows, okay, what are you doing here today? Because they're also working places, but I've set them up that they're meditation places inside the Shangri-La. Inside, we went into the stalls, but then there's that little room that Nola was in with her babies, and we call that Shangri-La. And yesterday I went in there to meditate, and Amelia and Ainsley are there.
With the sheep, yes.
And Amelia came over to me and she just started to let me pet her. She put her head on my lap, and she'd never done that before.
Oh, she's so sweet.
So again, it's all about energy and frequency. So and in order to control or have influence over our energy, we've got to be aware of what's currently controlling us. And things like if you say
that makes a lot of sense, because
and it's tough. It's not, listen, it's not easy. It's easy for people to say, well, just go meditate for half an hour. Oh, that's easy. Yeah, I could do a half hour every day, 7 days a week, 365.
No.
Yeah.
I would think, I would feel that I was wasting half an hour, because apparently I'm not understanding what the meditation exactly is supposed to help me with.
So great question. Great question. Here's a response to that. A response I have for that. The half hour is to give you back the next decade.
Bonus.
And allow you to focus on the things that in the next decade take care of everything you've ever wanted. The challenge is we have to have a belief that that's possible. If you take a half hour a day and work on you, the half hour is designed to collapse and give you tenfold back. So tenfold of a half hours to give you 5 hours back of freedom. Well, there's still 24 hours in a day. So that's 19 hours of effort and 5 hours of freedom. What do you do with that?
I don't understand how you mean that. I'm sorry, but
okay. So if I go to you, okay, so if I go learn German on my own, or I go to you, which one do you think I'll learn German faster?
Well, certainly if you go to me, because
okay.
Yes.
So if I go to you and I talk to you, because you have the experience. The challenge with any personal development is that it's stacked on top of the crap that's us already. When you spend time in meditation, you are undeveloping. You are undoing the old stories. You are undoing the old feelings. You are undoing this idea of that I'm not enough. So you are literally going to the master of you, the master language artist of you, who speaks your language of success. The challenge is your language of success was already wired into you. We've just been listening to everybody speak lack, social media, TV, politics, trade embargoes. All of these things are teaching us lack and not teaching us to speak our own language of success.
Bonus.
So when you sit quietly for 30 minutes, the reason you get distracted or attracted to something outside of you is because you're afraid of your language. You haven't spoken your language. It's a lost language, right? Like there's some tablets that have writings on it that we can't figure out what it is. It's a lost writing, but the tablet exists and it looks like it means something, but we can't translate it. And that longing that we have, that frustration that we have, that anxiety that we have, that we know we're made for more, is because we're not speaking the language. You've been in so many places around the world where you say, they're not getting what I'm saying. I don't know why. I don't know how to get it across to them what I want, what I mean, because you don't speak the language. That's what's happening inside of us. We have a language of success. We are wired for success. You know how I can prove that? I go hold you under the water and you'll hold your breath for a while, for a minute, 2 minutes, and then you'll start fighting. There's people who say, I'm gonna kill myself, and they go and they put themselves underwater. Their body wants to fight. As much as they thought they wanted to die, their body will fight and they will come out of that water. When you decide that you are going to sit quietly and suffocate this noise, this distraction, your true self will come alive. You've done it before. You've had those moments as a parent where you've just, nothing else mattered and you were totally focused on one thing and that was the only thing, and you made it happen. People are like, how did you make that happen? I don't know, but there was no chance it wasn't going to happen. That's where desire comes in. That's where discipline comes in. That's where focus comes in. The challenge is we have to wait for these life-altering, these life-changing, these life-threatening situations to where we finally decide to get our head out from underneath our arm and do the right thing. We think it's got to be this amazing, highly energetic, highly emotional moment. It can happen in the quietest of moments. That's when it takes place forever. We can have momentary successes, and we have these temporary moments where we succeed, and then we fall back. The 30 minutes keeps you from falling back.
But what do you literally do in the 30 minutes besides quietly? What are you supposed to think? What are you you
ask yourself a question. You sit down and you say, what is the thing what is the tactic I need? What is the strategy I need most today? What is the thing I need to do better today? And you listen. And it's one question, because what happens is that we play at such a shallow level. We have so many things going on in our life. We never get deep. And in order for us to really understand our values, there's certain things, the things that you do are the things you value. And this is for everybody. This isn't poking fun at you or poking a problem at you. Everything we do is based on our values.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So if we are making less money than we want right now, than we think we deserve or we really want in this world, it's because we value this amount of money. And that's where the argument starts to happen. No, I want more. Then you do more. You have more. The challenge is the reason that we don't have more of what we want is because we're focused on what we don't want. And so this quiet meditation allows us to ask the question, what do I want most today? And that you answer that question every morning, you'll be amazed what happened in 30 days. You wouldn't recognize yourself in 30. Well, I don't believe that. Well, that's exactly why people don't do it. Because they have a story that says 30 days can't change my life, because they're using their past to judge their future. If I used my past to judge my future, I would not be here. I would still be a farm boy from Ohio who's barely made it through high school, drove by a lot of colleges, and understands how to operate in a power plant. That's what I was trained to do.
But why do you always say that?
Why do I always say what?
I'm just curious, because you said we should concentrate on the positive things.
Right.
And you always describe yourself as an uneducated person. Why do you do that?
Because I was.
Well,
I was uneducated.
Why would you want people to know that?
It's a story for me. It doesn't matter what you think of it.
But yeah, I guess
it's a reminder for me. What you think of it, I'm not responsible. I'm only responsible to you, not for you. What you think of my story is what you think of my story.
I've been meaning to ask you that, because I guess I'm curious because you repeat that many times, telling us
a couple of times. Well, a big reason is there's a lot of people who have gone through education and are still stupid on their dreams. Well, listen, I'm a farm boy from Ohio, never went to college. So people think,
yeah, why do you say that? Yeah.
People always ask me, where did you get your degree? I don't have a degree. Well, what university did you go to? I didn't go to university. Really? How did you get so smart? I didn't get smart. I got good at me. That's not smart. I got good at me. Doesn't take brilliance to get good at you.
Bonus.
It takes
So
a
why-
decision.
So okay, so this is your story, but to me, I guess it's strange that you would want other people to know your lack, literally. But you think enough of education to send your son to university. So it's not that
That
you.
wasn't me.
Oh, okay. Your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you agreed to it. You didn't say, "Hey, honey, you know, I am a farmer
Happy
from
what?
Ohio, and I don't believe in
I
education."
didn't say I didn't believe because I never went to say it wasn't good. A lot of my friends went and it was good. A lot of my friends went and it wasn't good. So I don't have a say in university. You only have say over things you've experienced. You can't talk about things you've never experienced.
Bonus.
I went to a
You're
college.
making Raj very happy this morning. I love it.
The closest I was to college was when I went to Brookhaven University in Plano, Texas, and I bought 2 Chinese Mandarin level 1 workbooks and a bumper sticker that said Brookhaven University or Brookhaven College.
Why did you buy that?
Because I was going to go to university. I was going to go I was going to put it on my car and say, I'm going to university. I never put it on my car because I never went to class. I signed up for it, paid for it. And then I wound up with a company called and I wound up in Europe for 7 months.
Oh, you wanted to learn Chinese.
Yeah, I was going to learn Mandarin.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. Very good. Yeah, because I always wonder why you always say that, and you know that it's just
It's contrast, it's novelty. Now you hear it all the time. When I stand on stage, when I
Yes.
stand on stage and say that, people are like, oh my gosh, a couple of things. One, farm boy. There's usually people in the audience that are farmers or raised on a farm or have some animals. So that creates a connection. There's people
That's
who
why you have a connection with what's the gentleman's name? I forgot. That came.
Charlie.
Yes, because he has all the cows. Yes.
Right. So that's one connection. Second connection is barely made it through high school. There's a lot of people who barely made it through high school. Right. Then when I say I drove by a lot of colleges, there's a lot of people who went to university college or went 2 years and dropped out. There's a lot of people who that story resonates with that I have a connection to. I didn't think I had a connection to anybody because of the way I grew up. So I realized that story allows me access to where somebody in the audience would go, wow, he's a lot like me.
But
Then I don't
people, depending on where you're speaking, do you change it?
Nope.
Because there might be a lot of people, like if you were, say, if you were speaking in front of all doctors, would it make sense for you to share that?
Absolutely. And here's why. Who's on stage?
You are.
So I have the credibility. Somebody said I've got the credibility to speak in front of this audience. So I don't need their permission. I'm already have the credibility. I don't have to find a way to get the credibility. If you're on stage, you already have it. Too many people say, I'm so nervous. Why? You're already on stage. You aren't accepting the position, the role they've put you in. Somebody hires me to go speak to CEOs of network marketing companies. They all make good money. They don't make freedom money. They all have a job. They don't show up for a month, they're getting fired. Right?
They probably, many of them can relate to you because
So-
they probably didn't, many people in network marketing drove by the universities and never
Exactly.
attended. So those are people that can relate. I was thinking of people that spend.
Oh, I've spoken in front of engineers, power plant engineers, mechanical engineers and electrical engineers, and fluid handling system engineers. These are all engineers, all degrees, all multiple degrees, electrical, mechanical. They don't understand human nature. So yeah, I barely made it through high school. Why am I supposed to be standing here in front of you? Because you have something that eats your lunch every 90 days that you've got to try to come up with a solution for. And I've got it. It's called experience. See, being good at what you're good at and being very good at what you're good at, but not having the expansion of experience. I can walk into a power plant And because of my 20 years of experience in power plants and nuclear facilities and coal burning facilities and gas burning facilities and small turbine plants, I can give them solutions to problems that they haven't been able to fix in years, simply because I have, oh, you know what they did over here? I have a story. That's when I realized network marketing is all about the stories. When I walk into somebody's life and it's new, I can only relate stories that are similar that make them go, oh my gosh, that's what I've been looking for. Joseph McClendon calls it, I want some of that. So I give them, I want some of that, based upon if it's an audience of doctors, how I've helped doctors, how I've helped physicians, how I've helped PhDs. They're all different doctors, right? How I've worked with female physicians, with male physicians, how I've worked with them in the physical therapy world, how I've worked with them in the weight loss world. I've worked with physicians, I've worked with doctors, I've worked with presidents and CEOs of countries. So all of that to say, it's to lend credibility and to lend some authority that I didn't start with the silver spoon. It looks like I have it now, but I didn't start there. And most people can relate to that. So when we ask the question, what is my desire? What am I built for? Because I can promise you, everyone, if I were to say, this is the best it's ever going to get, you happy? Most people would say, no. So then you're not built for this. What are you truly built for? And that's where only you have the answer. And once you find that answer, that's where your desire kicks in. Once your desire kicks in, you can now add discipline to it, which is why we studied discipline for 7 days. And we're talking about desire now. The only thing that's keeping any one of us from reaching our ultimate goal is to activate our level of desire that says yes to what you want and no to what you don't.
No, that's very true. Well, thank you so much for all the insights. I love it because I've been meaning to ask you that for a while now, because I hear you say it so often. I can tell your story, by the way.
Well, and see, that's the thing. When somebody says, so what do you know about Sean? Well, I know he barely made it through high school. He drove by a lot of
But
college.
I would not ever say that.
Sure, why not?
Well, because
it's my story, not yours.
What?
It's my story I tell, not yours.
Well, but like, well, yes, of course, it's your story.
So,
but when I speak about Sean, when I speak about you, I sell you, or I promote you in a totally different way.
And that's okay. But you
say that to promote you.
But you could also say, hey, listen, this guy that I think the world of, I giggle every time he tells a story that he barely made it through high school. That doesn't comprehend. But he's an unbelievable motivator. He can say his words. He uses words in a way I've never experienced. You would think somebody went to university to figure out how to use words that way. He always has a response that is eloquent, elegant, and effective. It's on everything. Now, it may not be the way I say it, but it's surely the way that I could use it. But where do you get that kind of smarts? I guess they didn't teach that in school and he learned it someplace else.
Yeah, but why would I want to put that part in? I can just share the part of how amazing you are.
But they think I'm unapproachable. When you tell the story of you've got the nicks, the bruises, and the cuts, they're like, oh, okay. So it's somebody who had a tough life and did well. I'd like
Why do you think that would make you unapproachable? I don't see it that way. I see it that way as you are being an expert.
But most people don't want to. Most people say, well, here's the reality with being. I'll give you an example. My speaking mentor taught me. If you walk off a stage and people say, I could never do that. Oh my God, that was so good. I could never do that. That is the worst speech you've ever given. If people look at you and say, I could never do that, that is the most harmful speech you could ever give somebody. What you want people to get off the stage is come over and go, oh my God, we have so much in common. And yet you're at such an elevated level. You are the one on stage, which means that if they say, oh my gosh, we're just alike, which means now they can see themselves on stage. You elevated them. But if somebody comes to you and says, oh my God, I could never do that, you just shove them back in the box. You just proved their 30 years, 40 years, 50 years of their lack was true because you got on stage and made them feel like they could never do it.
But why wouldn't you ask them, why do you feel that way?
That's not my problem. Not when I'm speaking and they walk off stage. It becomes my concern when they say, I want to change that. Most people aren't ready to change that. They're willing to stay in their stuck box. That's why 90% of the people aren't happy with their income. 98% really, but 90% of the people aren't happy with their income. Everybody wants more. Why? Because they wind up doing everything every day to keep them stuck in that box called their comfort zone. They don't ask, what am I truly built for? Because I ain't built to be pissed off and frustrated and aggravated, and I'm not. Then why not change that? Well, I don't know how. Well, how is a strategy? Why would you want to change it? Well, I don't want to talk about that. Okay. Let me know how that works. I used to, my first year, I spent 80 grand. You all know the story, to try to fix people. I was giving them prescriptions, paying for their prescriptions like welfare. I was literally the welfare MLM guy. I would pay for their auto ships. I would pay for their starter packages because I was going to give them a chance. They wanted hope. I gave them hope. I fed a drug. I kept them stuck. And I learned, it took me 80 grand to figure that out. And I went, wow, I'll never do that again.
I have done a lot of that.
Sure, we all have.
The first year, because yes, you think you want to help people. But then you get upset or you can't understand why they won't do anything. Yes, I totally relate to that. But I have, and this is always strange to me. Oh, you just went away. I know you're still there. One more question. I often have people tell me that they couldn't do what I do.
Exactly. Yep.
Which doesn't make sense to me because
well, they can't be a beautiful German attorney who teaches German. They
sure
can't.
They can. If they want.
They can't be you.
Well, nobody can be me, certainly, but you can't be somebody else.
No, but what they're hearing is that in order, this is what they're hearing. It's not what you're saying, but it's the vibration they're getting. What they're hearing is that if I want success, I have to be like you. That's a hard thing to hear because that's what I was hearing. And that's what my mentor finally said. You know why everybody is stuck in your business? Because everybody's trying to be like you. I go, well, what's wrong with that? They go, there's only one of you. Stop being an asshole. I'm like, what are you talking about? You are trying to teach everybody how you did it. They don't care how you did it. They want to know how they can do it. Teach them how to be the best version of them, which means you're not important. That was a huge thing. That's what shifted from 80 grand in debt to 100, paying off the debt and 100 grand, so almost 200,000 the next year, was when I decided it ain't about me. I'm here to help you. It's when I came up with the phrase, how could I be of best service? People say, well, how do I do this? Why do you want to do it? Well, just tell me how to do it. I can't tell you how to do it because it's your how and my how are two different hows. Why would you want to do what you need to do? Why would you want to do it? Well, I want to take care of my mom. Great. So that's when Mark Victor Hansen taught me, do the 100 things in 20 minutes. I go, I don't have 20 minutes with him. He says, well, then do 21 in 5. So I started doing the 21 reasons in 5 minutes. And when I found out what somebody,
why do you want to do this? 21 reasons why do you do this?
What's in the next 5 minutes, I want you to write down 21 things you want from your business. I want money. I want a car. I want this. I want that. And what you'll find is typically you will go down and get to about 15, between 8, maybe 9 and 13 will usually be the thing that drives them. I don't want my kids to suffer. The first one is all logic, money, and then you run out of things to buy. And then you go to, well, oh man, what's that thing? And you move from your head into your heart. And then you do your heart a little bit and your brain goes, this feels yucky. And you go back to stuff. I've done it thousands of times in 20 languages. And it's always the same, always the same. Logic, logic, money, money, logic, logic, money, money, heart, 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 money, money, logic, 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 because we got to get out of that. No, I can't be that soft. I can't be, that can't be the thing that's going to drive me. And we go back to the stuff. So when somebody says, I want this business to do what? Well, I want to make money. For what? It's like that thing when people tell me all the time, right? The biggest objections, I don't have any money. I ask for what? Well, to buy you the package. Buy the package for what? Well, to do the business. Why would you ever want to do the business? Well, to take care of my family. When should we get started?
Yeah, that is amazing. Yes, because that's like the number one objection people will give you that they don't have money.
So I start off with, if I know that's the objection, because I know how to get around that, and I've talked and taught it enough, I'd say, hey, listen, couple of things before we get started. This is a presentation about an opportunity for you to have more. Are you okay with having more? Yep. Okay, good. Two things that we're not going to do at the end of this presentation, or I should say that I won't accept from you. And if you're okay with that, we'll proceed with the presentation. Here's the two things. One, you can't tell me you don't have any money. And two, you can't tell me you don't have any time.
Wow, you say that to them?
Oh, God, yes. I'm not going to waste my time. Why would I go through a 30-minute presentation they're all excited about, and they say, well, geez, next Tuesday, I'll have the money. Great, then we'll talk next Tuesday. I'm not wasting my time. It doesn't, me teaching doesn't get, I don't get paid to teach. I'm not a teacher. I'm a mentor. I teach you how to do things you didn't know you could do. I am not a teacher. So I don't need to teach them a comp plan or an ingredient list or a product list or how to buy something or how to ship something or how to put their address in someplace or how to put their credit card in. I'm not a teacher. I'm a motivator. I'm an inspirational. I find the inspiration with you. And if you ain't got it and you're going to use, I ain't got no money, I ain't got no time, awesome. Anything before we go.
So if they say, that's amazing. I've never been taught that, but it makes like so much sense. I mean, it just makes huge sense. I always, yeah. I
Now,
wish I had been taught that before. And I'm glad I just asked the question. So, okay, I wrote this down with the money. So if they say they don't have the time, you tell them to come back when they have the time? Or
yeah, I go, so I ask them.
Do you figure out how they could find some extra time? Because
well, nobody's got extra time, right? It's 24 hours.
Well, no,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. So I don't use those words because they think they got to find extra time. I ask them, hey, listen, in the last 6 months, did something change in the last 6 months that took away your freedom to move towards your dreams? Because maybe you were on the path 6 months ago and something happened. A parent got sick or something happened to where with the time you would have had to spend in a business taking care of you and your family got taken away from you. Totally understand that. Well, no, not really. So what's going to change in the next 6 months? Now, if you're afraid that you don't know how to focus your time, then we should work together. If you're afraid or unaware of how you can leverage me because you think you got to go do it all. What I love about our profession of me loving more is that you get to leverage me. So if you believe that there's a clientele, that if you believe that if you could just do 20 minutes a day and you could leverage me into 2 hours a day, would that be worth it? Now, for you to leverage me, it's going to take you got to do some effort because I'll be happy to match you. I'll be happy to do the work with you, but I ain't doing the work for you. So are you willing to learn how to adjust the way you look at things so the results you get are better than you ever expected? Awesome. If somebody wanted to walk into the room that you would think would do this business, would want to join us in this venture, who would that be? Bobby. Great. Call Bobby on the phone. Now? Well, yeah, we got to see if this works. I got to see if your customers or your business partners are of the same caliber or are they ready for the future? Because otherwise, if you're ready for the future and no one you know is not ready for the future, then you're going to get stuck. And I don't want you to get stuck. So if Bobby's the first person you think of, let's talk to Bob. Well, what do I say? That's not what you're here for. Your job is to introduce me. Well, how do I introduce you? That I can teach you. I found something I'm excited about. I've got this gentleman who's kind of an industry expert in this field. And I want to really share this with you because I'm excited about it. Now, everybody's waiting for the pitch. Hey, Bobby, listen, this is Sean. I'm sitting here with Al. And Al talked the same thing I did about give me the name of somebody you love. And I called them and said how amazing that they were talking about you. And I said, I just got to meet you. Listen, we're working on a project together. It may or may not be a fit for you, but I just had to meet the person that Al thought was just so amazing. Because when I said, who's somebody you think is driven, successful, focused, and willing to take on new things to arrive at new places? Before I could finish the sentence, he said, Bobby. So I'm just glad I met you, Bob. Now, what does Bobby think?
Oh, Bobby was just so elevated, and wow, look, he's loving on me. He's sharing with other people how amazing I am. I really should probably do this, or at least not just walk away. Yes.
So now he knows that was Al talking about him that way.
Yeah.
But now what does he think of me? I'm the guy that thought it was important enough to call him. So I've elevated myself. It's an unfair advantage when you understand how the human brain works and how the human heart works. Recognition, the forced law of reciprocity. I was saying nice things to him. He's going to say nice things about Al. Bob is going to say nice things about Al. And all of a sudden, what am I made for? I'm made to elevate people who want the elevation, who are afraid to take the first step.
Wow, that's so powerful. But we saw that with AJ's friend, who was
Matt,
so
I think it was
excited.
Matt. Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but the gentleman just, was so excited, and then he started speaking and he started to elevate AJ, and yeah. So yes, it does. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
It's Mitch, God damn it.
Mitch.
Big
Sorry.
Mitch.
How could we forget? I
So,
don't want to say I'm bad with names because that opens a whole nother thing.
yeah,
I have
exactly.
learned now, so no, I'm not going to say that. But thank you so much, Sean. Wow, this has just been like an amazing mastermind in itself, from where we started to where we finished. Thank you. I am so incredibly grateful for you.
And here's the thing:
the questions I ask to get the answers I need.
Well, here's the thing: you have a desire that, as you begin to realize the tough questions you ask, you already have the skill to do them. The challenge is that what happens if your questions begin to become fun and simple questions? That's all the transition is that you have the ability to ask tough questions, both of yourself, for yourself, and to others. What if the questions to others were the same level of punch, done with the arm wrapped around them like a dear friend, versus somebody who's, here's the truth, you should pay attention to it, or there's a truth you're seeking. I think I see it, that you want it. Is it okay if we work together on it?
Yeah, see, I love the way you put things. I'm more direct and just, I think maybe sometimes I come across as not touchy-feely like you are, and people really.
Well, I can be so touchy-feely I can make you cry.
Well, don't do that.
No, I don't want to do that. My point is that that's truly touchy-feely. But if I make you aggravated, that's not touchy-feely. That's pissing people off. I used to do that. There's sometimes I will. You hear me do that with AJ.
Yeah, I was just going to say you do that with you do that. And Louis.
And Louis, right.
Yes.
And I'll do that because that's a moment of breakthrough. And then we wind up laughing. I go punch in the nose and then we laugh. Just to make sure that you're aware. Because listen, I can be ruthless. I can be vicious. but that didn't serve me well. Being able to cut somebody down just gave me a whole bunch of people who were cut around me. That's not a fun, you become, it's a very sensitive place then. And I used to be that way. And then I realized, what if all, but I was cutting them in a wound that was never healed. So they really didn't like me.
Yeah, because no one likes to feel bad.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
I don't like to be the recipient of people making me feel bad, or I'm allowing them to make me feel bad. Because
right.
if I don't allow it, then it's a different story. But so very true. Yeah, I agree with you.
I love it.
And I love you. I love you very much. And I am working very hard to be more, express myself more like you do. I want to learn more of that. So thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
You're welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, AJ. Happy birthday to Petra.
That's not.
Vanessa.
Who let this lady on? I mean, what was she talking about? This lady German or what? This lady's crazy, man. I'm just kidding, Silky. We know you know we love you. Listen, you really demonstrated this morning that less is more. And I mean, this meditation was like diabetes, man. It was a silent killer. This was a silent killer this morning. So it's really interesting. You know, the question why, as Jim Rohn used to point out back in the day, why, man? You know, why do we do the stuff that we do, and more importantly, um, why do we do them after the moment where the awareness kicks in and you figure out that, listen, man, this is not serving me, and you keep on going back to
Why
it,
do we
like, you know,
repeat it? Yeah.
yeah, it's like making up with your toxic ex for whatever reason, you know, because they give you the butterflies, but they kind of mess your life up, and it's a disaster afterwards. But it's really interesting to me. And as you mentioned, the 21 things in 5 minutes that we did on the ranch, uh, you're right. For me, it was number 9. I chose that to be my kind of holy grail of the things I want to do, which was to ask better questions, right? And I figured that since I came back from the ranch, and that's now a month ago, can you believe?
Wow.
You believe that it's already a month ago that we had the mastermind? I have been asking questions. I have, maybe not as much as I think I should, but then again, I really don't know how much asking questions I should ask.
Well, it's not how much, it's how big.
Yes, exactly. How big? Thank you for help. It's how big. And I've definitely started with one punch kills. That makes sense. I think the biggest thing for me, you know, when as you were doing the meditation, as I was hearing the words, what came to me is the conversation that we had the other day when I said that for me, this mastermind up until now was extremely valuable, and the reason for it is I am getting closer and closer to the one punch kills every single day, right? I don't need to beat around the bush as much as before. I can get straight to the point a lot quicker now. And I want to thank you for helping me how to navigate in those waters and figure that out. Because that
Ready
was
for an
huge for me.
upgrade?
Always, yes, sir.
So what if instead of it being, do you know what Roundup is?
Roundup, yep.
Okay. And do you know what Miracle Grow is?
Yep.
Okay. So what if you change the language to being, instead of being the one punch Roundup, you were the one punch Miracle Grow?
Oh yeah. That's interesting. It's kind of scary, but it's interesting.
See, there's the old story that still says it's the defensive mechanism, one punch kill to get to my point. What if you got to their point and you inspired them to live a new life? And that was the last time you ever met them. What if you left more things living than dead?
Yeah, oh, wow, this goes back to the impression of increase and the advancing man, because you don't really need to. This is as you guys were going back and forth around the whole college thing. By the way, people who graduate, I hate their guts. Okay,
Hey,
I'm
no,
just
but tell
kidding.
us how you really feel.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm joking. I'm not hating their guts, but usually those people, they kind of look at you from above. They kind of think that they're better than you because they graduated college. That's why I hate their guts. But and it was so interesting to me. What you do. This is one of the reasons why I always could understand the language you spoke, right? There's not a lot of difference between the language that Jim Rohn used to speak or Bob used to speak, hey buddy, or Tony or whoever. It's just that you kind of I relate to you, and the reason I relate to you is just because of the thing you said back to Silky, which was that people think that those people are unapproachable, right? And then when you come off slinging and saying that you never graduated college, you barely made it to high school, I can relate to you, and I do really, because there's not a university or a school that teaches what you do. In my world, trading and say, okay, you could go to a business school or whatever, but the sole act of trading, they're not going to teach you that there. You need to go into an investment bank and have uh, what they call that. It's called when you, I mean, when you work the entry level position or whatever. I don't know what's it called, but
Yes.
anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So they come in there and then they actually teach you how to
Intern.
trade. Internship. Yes, exactly, internship. So and again, for sales, there's no college that teach you how to sell. Again, you could go into some kind of economics, some kind of business development, some kind of whatever, but the whole act of you being on the phone or being face to face, there's no school that can teach you that. And
Right.
since that's what I do, and then on the other hand, that's similarly to what you do, there's also not a school for that. I could always relate to you, so I could always understand exactly what you're saying. So that's a huge thing in our relationship, I think. And I want to thank you for being approachable because it definitely changed my life. And
What happens is that when you have if you're being introduced by somebody, you already have the credibility. Somebody is using you to leverage a story. Now, mine's a little different because I would be being introduced on stage, right? When I was vice president of sales, I had a title, but the title didn't give you respect. It gave you time. So when I would go on stage, when they would come bring me into different places around the world, and I would go speak as the VP, I was offered time. You have 20 minutes. Awesome. In those 20 minutes, I needed to deliver a conversation that was usually going to be translated, which meant I had 10 minutes of total time, me speaking for a minute, they speak for a minute, they write the translation. So I had to get to a very clear story in 10 minutes that would allow them to begin to say, he can have some of my respect. I didn't deserve their respect. I didn't ask for their respect. Can I show up in such a way that I am worthy of being respected? And in that 10 minutes is when I would change everything. Because then they would say, listen, you can keep going. Okay. But I knew I only had 10. My title didn't give me an hour. My title gave me whatever they thought it was worth. Could have been an hour. Now, the second time I went back to them in Italy, I got off the plane, traveled. I'm up 30 hours. And she said, and it was Sylvia. Sylvia said, get ready, because we've got a room full of people that want to see Mr. Porque, or however you say why in Italian. And I spoke for 6 hours. Translated. And they had 3 translators. I had to do all of my speaking, but they had 3 translators who rotated in and out while I didn't know I was going for 6 hours. But that's because the first time I earned their respect. I don't deserve any of your respects. I don't deserve any of your attention. But hopefully I can do enough with my Miracle Grow instead of my Roundup to keep you coming back. So how'd the
Listen,
certificate go?
you definitely have a that ability,
Because I
and
will round up your old thoughts.
yeah, that's true.
I will one punch kill those thoughts. If I keep seeing you repeat it, and keep planting the weeds, I'm like, dude, why do you keep planting weeds? Stop being an idiot.
How's that working out for you?
How's that working out for you?
That's the eternal burning question, right? Listen, one thing that you do very well, you do that extremely well, and I'm striving to get to that point, is that you could literally have a one single conversation with a person. Could be Brad in the parking lot, could be me just winding up on your call for whatever reason. It was a divine intervention for me to get there, probably. But you have this ability really have a single conversation with a person and never see them again, but lit up the spark for them. And that's one of the things I wrote down in my DMP statement towards the end there, was that I want to do that as well. I want to create lasting moments of transformation by simply having the impression of increase in mind.
So
And
in sales we talk about one call close, right?
Yeah.
I changed it. One call open.
Opening the relationship, yeah.
So what happens is, if I can open you up so big, so wide, so free, that you realize that every other conversation you have is a closing conversation, you will come back to me. Right? If you love it, set it free. So if I can say to you, if I can get you to inspire yourself, and you fall in love with yourself so much that whenever I'm around Sean, I feel good. Okay, you'll show up. It's not convenient to be here, ever. It's not convenient to be here, ever. But is it convenient to take care of your future? Those that want it, show up. Those that think they're missing something, show up. Those that wind up getting it, like you've gotten certain levels, you've heard certain levels. Oh, now I know what that means. Once you realize, oh, that's what that means for me, not what Sean means, what it means to AJ, you show up again because you're like, I wonder if there's more. And you know there's more. And now you see there's more. And you keep showing up going, oh my gosh, I can't believe there's this much more. It's nonstop. And you show up every day and it's nonstop. How does this happen? Every day I grow. Every day I grow. If you look at where you were in January, oh my gosh. I think there's been some radical change.
I'm actually going to take these. So I don't know how it's like in the States, but here in Serbia, the 1st of May, May 1st, and May 2nd, depending on the days, it's this big thing called Labor Day and whatever, and they have 2 days off, right?
Okay.
So we're going to have an extended weekend now. And I'm actually going to take this week, and I was thinking about it since it was the end of the month yesterday. I was going to take these 4 days and go back through my entire journal. So my everyday journal, the gray one, this one, where I have my daily stuff.
Yep.
It's probably maybe 1/3 filled up until now, I'd say.
Okay.
Some entries are longer, some are shorter. Some days are there, some are not. But I was going to go through it in its entirety, and I wanted to reach out to you on Sunday or something, and share my feedback of what happened, because I think there's going to be some interest in there, especially when I read the message you left for me.
So here's a couple of things. When you read it, be aware, listen to everybody listen to this. When you go back and read your journals, what if, here's the crazy thing, right? Here's the universe. Here's the unbound universe of possibility. What if the notes you wrote were your future self coming back to your present day self, writing your future self a note? And when you read it now, you're going to go, oh my gosh, because it'll make more sense to you now than it did then. Was it your future self that wrote the note, leaving you breadcrumbs of what your possibility is? So that when you reread these notes, you're like, oh my gosh, I now get it. Because you didn't get it then. How did you get it now, 5 months later? Was it your future self that came back and wrote in your journal that note that is absolutely a crushing, growing killer of doubt and fear note that makes so much sense 5 months later that it didn't make that much sense to you then. That'll get your head spinning. Because I'll reread my notes and I'll date when I read them. I'll in the very front, here's a little clue. In the very front, I'll take a colored pen and I'll date the pen and I'll put the underline next to it, next to the date, so that everything that's underlined in the book, I can go back to the front and say, when did I read it? When did I underline that? And so I'll have multiple colors in the front of the book. And when I go back and look and I'm underlining the same thing, but if I underline the same thing and it means something different, I ask myself, was it this version of me? Was it last month's version of me or this month's version of me that went back 5 years ago and wrote that? You get totally taken away when you start to look at things and say, was I always this version of me? And it took 5 months of Michelangeloing myself, chipping away what's not David, to really see the message. And that's the other question as you read this. What part of me did I chip away so that this makes more sense now? Because if that's the case, it'll make more sense when I chip away more what?
You gotta take a hit to wash this down, man. I'm just kidding, but it's really good. I can't speak for everybody, obviously. I can't speak for me. And what rereading my notes means for me is I kind of get this B-roll on, and I'm literally back in the moment and experiencing the emotion again. I don't know if that's good or bad.
It's good, but you're experiencing it from going back versus trying to elevate. It's a lot easier for us to go back. So if you go back to that elevation, what's the next elevation? What more needs to be chipped away to take it to this level?
Oh, I see. So it's the analysis of the entry too.
Right. So when you go back, again, this is the thing. Don't tell me where you've been. Tell me where you're going. When you go back to reread these, ask how is this going to catapult you and take the next 5 months and allow you to do what you were going to do in the next 5 years. What's the secret miracle grow that's in every one of these notes? And some of them you'll find out that they were roundup. When you read it going, how limiting was I to think that that was valuable? That's not going to compress 5 years into the next 5 months. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
What about thinking about it as you're reading it, right?
Right.
As you're kind of summarizing the thoughts. What about just making sure that you don't make the same mistake twice?
Right, but what's the mistake if they're all good notes? That's not your mistake book, that's your journal. Unless you have a mistake book that you need to revisit.
Well, there's definitely some results in there that...
Yeah, but they were the best results you had at the time. Look at the growth. Ah, there we go.
Oh,
there
well,
we go.
Not... When they actually think about it...
oh, there's that thinking.
There's the thinking stuff. When I think about it, I don't actually have mistakes in there, man. I just had the things I had the things I wanted.
Right.
And then a couple of entries down, I have, it happened. Shit. Okay, let's write it out. And then a couple of entries down further, I get like, I'd be like the guy from The Wire. I'd be like, shit, man, this happened. You know? Yeah, I don't have mistakes in my journals. Wow.
So ask who just came up with that limiting belief of to not make the same mistake twice. Who said that? That wasn't the AJ who's having this conversation. That was the one who slipped in. But what happens is that it came in so naturally here. Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. The negative version of us, the old story, the old version that says, oh my gosh, we're having a conversation of elevation and acceptance of our new level of who we are. Who am I? The old story. It literally showed up in a conversation that says, well, yeah, but I'm going to read it to make sure I don't make the same mistake twice. What mistakes? These were your best versions of you at the time. No mistakes. But that's how we kill ourselves. It's those little, it's the slight, and if you're having a conversation with somebody, they want to be like you, they don't want to make the same mistake twice either. And so that conversation is just left in the air like a fart, and it's just there. It doesn't need to be there. And we need to be aware of that's how the power of our words. And our words are the words are the expression of our feelings. Our feelings turn into thoughts, turn into words. And this feeling of, I'm going to go read my journal for 4 days, for 3 days, and I'm going to go elevate myself, and I'm going to look for the mistakes I won't make again. Things you won't repeat now, but at the time they will. So our old story slips in. It's trying to just figure out, how do I get that finger hold right? You see in the movies where they're hanging on their fingertips. It's like, let go, let it go, let it go. Right? Whatever that Frozen song is. Let it go. What if you read it and this was the 10-year version of you that came back and wrote it? Took the time out of your 10 years from wild success and great joy and everything else. Let me go back and help my schlep version of me who I'm becoming. And I'm going to go back and help the person. And the reason that you wrote the note at the time is because your desire was tuned in, turned on, and turned up. That the future version of you came back and said, okay, I'm excited to be here. Let me give you a note that we can read a month from now, a year from now. And it'll always make sense. Don't your notes always make sense? How is it possible? You weren't here 5 months in the future. So somewhere in the future, that version of you had to come back and write those notes. And at the end of the year, a 12-month version of you went back and wrote the notes. Because if they make sense to you a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, that version of you went back and wrote it. Because when you read it this weekend, the things that you've circled and put notes around will change dramatically. So now it's the Labor Day version of you that's reading it. That didn't exist January 1st. So the Labor Day version already came back, wrote notes in your journal, spent time with you, the 20 minutes to write in the notes, and now you're visiting them again with that expression and that understanding. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Absolutely. But this is why you can elevate at such a rapid pace. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Listen, I gave up on the idea of my pursuit to understand what's really going on, because I have no clue. I got no clue. Absolutely not the famous idea how it all works. I just know it works. And at the end of the day, I don't really care how it works. I just care that it works, and it does. Because what you're saying makes total sense. And I know we've been at this for years now. Years, that's plural, okay, with an S in the end. And it just works, man. God damn it, it just works. And but then what I'm getting is, as you were speaking, we always go back to the same message. It's always available. And if I spoke about this on the porch, we it's all available. And it was the journey was available, the ranch thing, it was available, visa, it was available, the business opportunities are going to be available.
Do you realize if you still was pissed off, you wouldn't be here? We wouldn't be having these conversations, because you just said, well, you said in your text, I'll see you next year.
I did. I was a little bitch there for a second.
Right.
Where I came.
But that version of you said, oh, finally, I don't have to worry about all of this growth. In one
sentence. Bonus, man. That's true. It's kind of a, oh, wow. That's
you see which part of his head he's scratching? Right? The mammalian brain?
It was like, God damn it. It was like a relief.
Yeah.
It was all of a sudden, so it was extremely negatively charged emotion, right? It lasted for a couple of hours,
Yep.
and then it came down into being a raw, naked feel of relief. Because all of a sudden, this is crazy. I don't get to get this opportunity to advance, because with that opportunity come additional responsibilities. Because all of a
Well,
sudden,
you got to be the
gotta-
poor. You got to be the poor broke Serbian you were supposed to be.
exactly, I wouldn't have this responsibility of going to the promised land and working on with my mentor. When I say people, or Serbia, when I say people that have a mentor, they're like, what? Like, it's a mentor. It's a person that they're like, you smoking something or
Right.
yeah. So that, but I love it. I just love it so much. And I'm gonna stop saying but. I love it so much. It's truly always available. So really, thank you for that insight. Thank you for that insight.
And now, when you go read this weekend, before you read, start the intention. Spend 5 minutes saying, "What's available to me? What's available to me in these notes I'm about to read that I didn't see when I wrote them?" Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. What's available to me when I go read this? Because this was me writing to me, writing from me. What was the message you needed to give me now? And listen, here's what happens when if I happen to hear something, or I get this feeling about, I'm listening to Charles Hannell and he talks about Dorothea Brand, and I go get Dorothea Brand, and I go get Dorothea Brand's What's Possible. And I listen to the first sentence and I go off into a 4-hour journey of just that first sentence of what happens inside of the mind and what happens inside of the body. First sentence, one sentence. Somewhere on the first page, I'm going to hit something, because if I'm drawn to that, I pay attention to that draw now. And I'll go look. And I'll say, if this is to be the attraction that I feel that it is, let me know it in the first page. And I'm usually blown away. It's where Decision of Self came from. We spent 8 weeks on one sentence. That was an 8-week course, or however many weeks we spent on one sentence. So pay attention to your word. You're going to hear something, and pay attention to it. Don't say, well, I got to read all my notes. Go look for the one that opens up all possibilities. So that kids don't cry anymore and you get to ask bigger questions. Sucks when they know you.
Yes.
They suck when
gotta
they know that
finish.
button spot.
Always gotta end up smart. Smart ass. I'm just kidding. Kudos to you, and kudos to everybody for showing up. I really love y'all. Thank you for showing up every day. I remember, just a quick story, and then I'm off. I remember back in the day, a couple years ago, Sean said that he will know that we all elevated so much that when he shows up to a call and there's nobody there, that's when he'll know. But for some reason we end up coming back. I guess not today, Skippy. So yeah, but thank you everybody for showing up every day and making sure that this community runs, and obviously to Sean that was that gave birth to the idea in the first place. So I love y'all. See y'all soon.
I appreciate you. Love you tons. I'm your head brain training. Find your special sauce. We're going to do a secret sauce one. We'll go back to the secret sauce. Remember those days? I love you tons. I'll see y'all when?
The next event.
I love it, love it, love it. Oh my gosh. Fiona has tore up so much stuff on my carpet over here. Somebody give me some Costa Ricas.
Pura vida.
Somebody give me some Lydia.
Peace be with
Be
us.
with us.
Peace be with us. And the queen of helping you find things you didn't know that were available to you, Jessie Lee Ward.
Bosley.
Bosley, we love you, girl. And a little white fluffy.
Gurgly, gurgly, gurgly.
Girly.
Gurgly. All right, everybody, go have some fun. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Bye for now.
See y'all. Have fun.
Love you guys.